Welcome,
Thank you.
Christabelle Joseph.
Hi.
Hi.
We did it.
We did do it. We continue to do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited to be a part of this.
Great. No, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun. I know it's going to be fun. We're going to go to some places. We just did a meditation, so we have surrendered to wherever we're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm excited to get to know you more and share with the listeners and the viewers who you are and what you do, because I understand and feel and know you're kind of magic and do some great things and have some good stories. And that's what this is all about.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like everybody has like a story that needs to be told. And I feel like life is so fun and takes you on quite the journey. And just tapping into your own experiences and really seeing life as, lessons and learning experiences, and that we're all here flowing through this crazy journey, and everyone has such a different story, and we're all able to kind of help each other and grow with each other and support each other through this magical roller coaster of life,
Nice.
And I feel like that's the exciting part of it, is kind of detaching yourself from like the negativity or whatever it is, and just not even taking life so seriously half the time, and just being like, hey, like let's just have fun.
Okay, I am prepared and ready for my education I'm about to receive here. This is going to be good here, so we're gonna have to go directly to the story. But before we dig that one out, like you and who you are, you call yourself a global connector. You're big into branding, right? You have LUXGO Media yourself, which you're a founder and director of. I love your tagline, branded by brilliance.
Yeah.
What's that mean? Where did that come from?
Honestly, I literally was trying to ramble something that would be catchy, something that would kind of sound kind of cool, but not too overly pretentious. And so that was kind of what we landed on, branded by brilliance. And it was like a team effort of us trying to like get this page out in time for the launch. And so that's kind of what we landed on, but that may change, honestly.
Yeah, that's how things go, right? But most people go, oh, anything brilliance is pretentious as it gets.
Yeah,
but you guys moved through that.
We did. We totally did. It was one of those things where we had excellence, we had success, we had all those words, and I was like, it just sounded so blah in my head.
Are you a Joe Dispenza fan?
I love.
So
Joe
a lot of his meditations are the live meditations that you listen to with his audience. He always he gets the folks to stand up, or during his talks as well, and he gets them introduced to each other, and he says, introduce yourself as a genius, right? And like that could be perceived as quite pretentious, but he just goes there. So
I love it.
Genius and brilliance.
Exactly. Well, we always are tapping into our genius, right? And like that is such an important place. Like your creative genius, your creative flow, your creative intelligence, right? Those are all words, strong words, but they all have a meaning that's so purposeful as well, right?
So have you always, like, where did this journey start for you, right? Because you have an obvious growth mindset. You have a perspective of on the world. You mentioned plant medicine, so perhaps perhaps people don't just go and sign up for a trip or go wherever and do plant medicine out of the blue. So what was the catalyst for that?
Yeah.
And was that the beginning of this journey for you?
I guess. Okay, so basically I had a very like intense childhood, I guess. Like my dad was he was an alcoholic. He was very like abusive, I guess. And so I was almost attached to that same cycle. And my first relationship was literally a splitting image of that. Someone that was also an alcoholic, very abusive. And so I was wrapped in this cycle. And I went to Mexico for a bit, for 4 months by myself. And I was like, you know what, like, I just want to tap into meditation, and I just want to start like my spiritual journey. Like I always knew I was spiritual, but I never really did the practice of it and got myself to tap into my intuition. And when I started my Mexico trip, I actually did plant medicine the first month I was there, but I wasn't ready for it. And so I actually was put into my shadow self for like 4 days, thinking that I lost my mind after.
Huh.
Because I didn't respect the medicine. And I
Yeah.
went into it out of, oh, this is just going to fix me and this is going to be fine. But I was like on like a 2-week bender prior to, and, you
Yeah.
know, didn't take care of myself, my mind, my body, my soul before going into it. And so I didn't get the result that I wanted. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of scarred me. Right. And then took a little bit off of drinking in Mexico and started actually just meditating and doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I came back from Mexico, I got back in the same relationship and continued the cycle for a little bit. But it actually started at the last company that I worked at, which was a couple years ago now. And I met this woman and she was incredible. I don't know what it was, but I cried like the first day I met her.
Oh, wow.
And it was so powerful and intense. And I didn't know what the connection was. She knew. She was like, oh, I already know.
Really?
Yeah, she knew. And she was the first person to show me unconditional love.
Oh, wow.
And it was the most like immense, powerful, empowering thing as well, because it taught me how to take care of myself for the first time and how to actually cultivate self-love within myself. And almost like that was the reason how I detached from my toxic relationship. I was able to grow more as an individual and actually separate myself from that relationship and start building my own foundation. So that was when I did another plant medicine ceremony, and I fully was ready and I was doing the work. I stopped drinking. I cut out marijuana, like everything, Netflix. Like now my life is so hyper focused on being the best version of myself and not comparing myself to anybody, not putting pressure on myself to be someone that I'm not, to just like do the thing to get myself to where I want to be and just lead with service and lead with heart.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. So much in there I want to dig into. But first off, how did you know you were always spiritual?
I grew up religious, actually.
Oh, really?
So my mom, she was born in Goa. So it's Portuguese.
Where's Goa?
It's in India.
Oh, wow.
Portuguese influenced. So we grew up Catholic, going to church. I was like an altar server. I played piano in the church choir. Like I was very in it, but I knew I wasn't religious. Like I didn't really quite grasp like Catholicism or like God being something separate than within us. I don't know if we can talk more about that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But just like having something that I would always question, I guess, like faith is always there. Like that's it's good to have faith in certain things, in certain aspects for sure. But thinking that you're not capable of doing something on your own without using an external thing is something that didn't really click for me. My mom would always be like, oh, praise God, like you got this. And I'd be like, I actually worked my ass off.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That was me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and like, of course the universe is there. And of course there's like this creator of like all things, but religion is, you know, all religions are tied into spirituality, right? So there's little parts and pieces that you can take away from all these different religions. And religion is almost like a segregation of like, you know, unity of what we're all supposed to be is connected as one whole, right? And that community is humans as one, right? Like we're all connected. It's not about like, oh, you're this or you're that or whatever it is. It's the diversity. It's, you know, the inclusivity of like oneness.
And at what point did you come to that realization? Was that plant medicine 1, plant medicine 2? Was it many years before that? Was it a certain?
It was before that.
Meditation?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago where I kind of realized that. I don't know if I recall like a breaking point of that, but I remember just questioning a lot of like the judgment that came with going to church and like a lot of like, and I'm not saying that church is bad or anything, but I think they kind of overdid it, or they translated the meaning behind Catholicism incorrectly, in my opinion. And so it kind of gave off a little bit of a misconception of what God was or what Jesus did and all those things, right? And so the translation of it, the metaphors for it didn't quite align, I guess, with what my belief system was.
Nice. I'm reading Matthew Perry's memoir. Yeah, which just came out last year, I believe. So guy from Friends, huge alcoholic, huge addict, right? So it's been great book.
Chandler.
High Chandler.
Chandler.
So it's I'm just gonna move that closer to you.
Okay, gotcha.
No, you're good.
Thank you.
It's been incredible to great writer, so talented, but it's been incredible to learn more about addictions and alcoholics, and the stories he tells. It's just like literally, and like he's almost died multiple times, but for him, like it's every day, every day, every day, and so he through 10 or 12 years of shooting Friends and all the movies and all of that, and you can see it throughout the different seasons of Friends. Like some, like he said, his weight fluctuated between like 135 pounds and 215 pounds or something.
You
so
can see from the seasons, right?
It was up and down, but it's for so many reasons. This book is great because it tells his story about getting into acting, and then just the part I was reading this morning was right when he got the part for Chandler. He like it was actually offered to his friend, but his friend was a better actor, and his friend got an option for Friends or another one, and he took the other one, and it was a huge deal. It was a huge deal between the two of them. But he's talking about how they were just shooting the pilot for Friends, and before it even came out to the public, but they knew. Yeah, they knew what they had, and everyone was just electric. But it was really quite cute. Cool, you know, as someone like yourself who is looking to create and do things, like to kind of know when you got something or got a feeling when you got something and it's going to come out. But all through the time, every day he was battling.
It's crazy, like addiction in itself, right? When you look at addiction through like a scope, I guess I always see it in cycles because it's the short span of that cycle where people are stuck in this loop.
Yeah.
And the shorter the span, the more addictive that person is. And it's this repetitive cycle that it's almost impossible to get out of. Like when I was drinking or when I, used to do a bunch of drugs growing up, like it was that weekly cycle I was looped in. And when
like meaning like, where am I going to drink next? Where am I going to get the drugs
it was
next?
Like, it was kind of just like, I wouldn't drink every day, but it would be the benders every weekend. And I thought that was normal because society is like, oh, Friday, let loose, right? Go do the thing. And then it would be Friday, partying all night till Saturday and Saturday night. It's like the whole like, and then it would be like Monday to Friday, work really hard. And then for Friday to like celebrate by like putting poison in your body. Yeah. And then when I started dating my ex, it was like, I realized how short his cycle was. It wasn't every week. It was every 2 hours. It was every hour, So it was like, whoa, like that's a pain cycle that he's constantly in. He's constantly living in his own personal hell, and it's really sad to see it in that view where you're like, oh my God, like, I'm so glad I got out of that. But there's so many people that are struggling with that addiction. And it's literally like, you can't even separate or expand that. So like everything in life, I kind of have seen all the patterns and the cycles that we all have in terms of anything. Addiction can be anything, right? It can be sex. It can be whatever, right?
The things we carry in our pocket.
100%. Oh my goodness. That phone addiction of like every single beep or message. Do you know anyone
who's not addicted to their phone?
Right?
I don't.
It's so hard. Like
maybe a couple people.
Yeah.
The younger people, actually my like, I'd say my oldest niece, actually, who you would think she's 14. So I guess the algorithms haven't quite gotten her yet. Good. But I know some other teenagers and younger people, and they're actually less addicted than us older folks.
Do you think maybe because it's so accessible for them, or they grew up with it, that it may not be?
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure what it is, right? But the rest of us are out of our minds.
It's insane, right? Like I make it a point every day now, like, I'm doing 75 hard.
We need to talk about that. We do need to talk about that.
So I'm on day 62 now. So less than 2 weeks.
And so 75 hard is what?
Okay. So yes, good show. Yes. 75 hard. Andy Frisella, he created this program. It's a disciplined mindset. Yeah. That's the program. And obviously fitness, physicality is just, something else that you get out of it. Right. Yeah. So it's for 75 days. You work out twice every day, 45 minutes, one indoor, one outdoor workout.
Good.
Drink a gallon of water.
Yeah.
Don't drink any alcohol, obviously. Stick to one diet.
No alcohol.
No alcohol.
Wine?
Nope. You're like, hey, I'm out.
IPAs.
IPAs, no.
Margaritas.
No.
Okay. No alcohol.
No alcohol. Stick to a diet. Take a progress photo and read 10 pages of a personal development book. And you do that every single day for 75 days.
It's like a 2 to 3 hour effort every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what about, there's one that has the cold bath or the cold shower?
That's phase 1.
What do you mean phase 1?
So after you complete the 75 days,
Yeah.
you get into phase 1.
Yeah.
And it's 8 critical tasks every day, visualization for 5 minutes, visualization meditation,
Yeah.
and the 5-minute cold shower.
Huh.
Yeah. So I'm not there yet. And honestly, like, I'm such a baby when it comes to cold showers.
Really fun.
So I know. Yeah. Like, I feel like.
So how is it? That's a good effort. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have you made it? Have you
62 days?
Have you skipped
so
any
far.
workouts?
No.
Read 9 pages and not 10 pages?
Nope. Like every day. And you know what? I actually started it. I started in March and I actually went to an all-inclusive and I didn't drink. It's crazy.
So, but how do you, like, it's pretty disciplined and it's pretty, follow the rule of the law.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, is there any sort of marriage between that and sort of the rule of the law or the law of the church and words coming down like that way?
In a sense, but it depends on the intention behind it, right?
Yeah.
So like my purpose for doing 75 hard was to build discipline and to teach myself consistency. You can do anything with consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You can apply that and integrate this discipline and mindset in everything that you do in life. It's showing up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you think I want to work out every day or go outside every day?
Well, that's what people that don't work out. And I work out however much I work out, but people, and I do several 6 a.m. mornings a week, and it's great in the summer because it's light out and the birds are out. Life is great, 100%. But it sucks now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
But that's the thing.
But people that don't do that think that we like doing that. We don't like doing that.
Don't.
Those hours, like the snooze button that I keep hitting. I'm
it's
like,
right
if I don't do this one, maybe I'll do it later.
Exactly. We still have the same thoughts. We still have to fight the same barriers as everybody else. Mm-hmm. And people think that we just are these psychopaths that love.
I do love it though. Once you get it done, because you come home at 7 a.m.
and confidence
you
boost,
feel incredible.
Right? You
like,
feel
check,
good.
done.
Exactly.
You look good. You feel great. You're lit up.
Absolutely. But it's like the doing it part, right? Like, I don't want to wake up when I have to. And like, I don't want to like go to the gym, but I know when I do it, I'm going to feel like a goddamn sexy motherfucker.
So how do you feel now? It's day 62 compared to day
I feel
1.
good. Like I feel like this is my lifestyle now.
That's it.
You know,
you think you'll bring back alcohol?
I cut out alcohol in December.
Nice.
So I cut out that and I just started building the smaller habits. Mm-hmm. Of 75 hard so that I could crush it.
Nice.
You know, so like I did start in March and I failed a couple times.
Oh,
I got to 20 days, I got to 14 days, and then I realized what were my challenges.
Yeah.
It was drinking a gallon of water. I went from drinking like probably a glass of water a day or no water to a gallon.
I don't understand why I've heard this a few times now. People don't drink water.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's a thing. And the working out every day, like I would work out maybe 5 times a week or 4 times a week, but working out every day, I had to build that habit. And so slowly building the smaller habits to then, achieve the larger goal. That's something that I think everyone should.
So what is the larger goal?
Of doing the full 75 hard challenge, right?
Nice.
Yeah. But applying that now to business, applying that now to being an entrepreneur, applying that now to so many different aspects of your life, it's like, anything is actually possible.
I know, and it's discipline. It's a relatively simple thing once you kind of embody it and live it and art it. Mm-hmm. But I love the entrepreneurial mindset, and I exist in both worlds. I do entrepreneurial things like this, and I work as an engineer, so I do the whatever that world's called, and it's been great. But and it's been a progress, but I understand that if I want to create certain things in my life, new things in my life, it's been there's no TV in here. I
love that.
There's no TV. it was there. It hasn't been there for 5 or 6
I like
years.
the blue painting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous. But it's if you got the side hustle going on, which means if you work 40 hours a week and you got the side hustle going on, there's not a lot of time for wasting. There's not a lot of lifestyle for pursuing. And you can, like, if people are into whatever they're into, as long as they don't have the spend half their time kind of complaining about the things they don't have. I'm walking back from the seawall earlier today.
Yeah.
And I was walking behind a couple. I believe they were a couple. It was a guy, a woman, and a man. I don't know if they were a couple. And I love eavesdropping on people. It's one of well, I actually go down to the seawall. You sit on the bench. You hear all sorts of great content. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But he was. I kind of made up in my mind what I thought he was saying. I didn't actually hear what he was saying, but I thought sort of like maybe he was. Actually, no, I did hear what he was saying. He was saying that he was gonna have to move in with his friend or something to save rent, and I get that it's expensive AF here, right? Which is great, which is fine, awesome, amazing. But he's carrying a 6-pack. He's got a juicy looking belly.
Yep.
And he's walking with the lady. I don't know if he was trying to impress her or not, and that's fine. I guess like if he's okay with that and those choices and that lifestyle, fine. But if he spends his whole time going around complaining that he can't have his own place, isn't in shape, isn't achieving his goals and dreams, but it's that simple thing, like, how are you spending your Sunday, buddy?
Exactly. What are you spending your money on? That's like, not allowing you to live your dream life. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And that's such a Vancouver thing. People complain all the time here.
Yeah, we do. Well, how do you find that? Have you always lived here?
I have. For a majority of my life. I was born in Dubai, but I was here when I was like 8 months old.
Oh, nice.
Grew up here, lived in Alberta for a couple of years, but came back.
I thought you had some Alberta in you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I have my welding tickets. Can't get more Albertan than that.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome, right? But otherwise, you're Vancouver, right?
Vancouver, yeah.
And so, what have you? I'm from Ontario. I've been here many years.
When did you come here?
2006.
Okay, tell me. I want to hear your point of view on this.
Okay. Well, no. Okay, I went to school. I'll just say dates. I don't care. I'm 42 years old, people. Amazing. I went to school starting in 2000, University of Victoria. So I've been out in BC 23 years, which is longer than I've ever been in Ontario. However, Ontario will always be home. I was there a couple weeks ago. It's freaking amazing. I love it. Will I move back there? Will I move back there? Will I move back there? No. Like, look at this is.
I know you can't get much better than this. Yeah.
But my point being, we're talking about Vancouver. The show is kind of about Vancouver. I got a stake in Vancouver now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we have different perspectives. But you're a townie.
I enjoy what we have here, and I'm so grateful to be in Vancouver because we have the seriously, the mountains, the ocean, the forests, nature, everything just at our fingertips.
But I feel like there's a but coming.
There's no but as per se. I think it's just really, I think our purpose in Vancouver is building more kindness and community here.
You don't think there's kindness?
I think Vancouver needs more kindness and compassion.
Because how have you not seen it? Would be the question.
I do see a lot of competition. I do see less collaboration. I see a little bit of entitlement / judgment.
A little bit.
Okay. I'm trying to be nice here.
There's no need. This is the real Van City. Like, everything's real on this show.
It's quite pretentious. It is. And it's there's a lot of
entitlement. And what is that though? Like, I don't think people that are like that know they are like that or even care they're like that. Right? But a lot of people, it's very transient here. People come from all over. A lot of people from Ireland, right? I love them. They're so great. Yeah. Mexico, they're the best.
They're the best.
But they're like, what's wrong with these people?
Literally. And like, I was in Mexico for 4 months, right? Yeah. And when you just see how, like, when people actually say mi casa es su casa, it's literally like I will give you my shirt if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Mm-hmm.
if you need anything, like a bag of rice, like I got you, you know? It's so community vibes there. And like coming from like even like a third world country, like India, like my family's all from India. And like that is just such a normal thing, you know, like just being a neighbor to everyone, smiling at people, saying good morning.
Oh, don't do it.
Like,
don't do it. We're well, the problem with the guys smiling, well, the guys don't know how to smile.
Yes, this is true. That's the problem.
The guys don't know how to smile. It's like this creepy, like they're running on the seawall with a boner type thing. But, you know, I do. I have a great smile. I don't smile at everyone.
You do have a really good smile.
But, you know, I smile at some women. But most of them, they won't look at you. But for the most part, I
friendly smile.
I don't blame them, because 95% of us out there are kind of scary jerk-offs.
Yeah, but I think it's just like about how you do it as well. Right. And like also like who cares? Like say good morning. You know what I mean? Like what's the worst thing that's gonna happen?
When people say good morning to me and I'm out for a run on the seawall, I'm like, that is incredible.
I love it.
It's so great.
It's so fun.
And I'm like, wow, why can't I initiate that more often? Right?
And like even like, and it was funny because I was walking down the dike earlier today, and I think like I used to actually
for those watching, that is as an engineer, you know, that is a raised berm that separates. You're at Richmond, right?
Yeah.
You know, because Richmond's below sea level at some parts. Keeps the ocean out, anyways. And a little engineering.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'll stop now.
But I said hello to like this couple that was walking by, and they didn't say it back, and I was kind of just like, okay, like that used to really impact me a lot though, and I'd be like, oh man, like they suck, and then I was like, why is that affecting me? Like I can still be the person I want to be, right? So like regardless if Vancouver is gonna not say it back or whatever it is, like I'm still gonna go out there and say good morning. And like you get into a habit of it. Like when I was in Mexico, it was like buenos dias, like every day, every morning, everyone's in like a vibe, and you're just like, hell yeah, like I love that. So
what do you think is what do you think are the steps here? Like why is it important for people that are out walking the seawall? Everyone's out there. You know, they're on their phones. We're complaining about things. But why is this important, and how do you do it?
Oh, it's so important. And I feel like COVID really messed us up a bit more,
for sure.
You know, like since COVID, you just see people so like, you know, in their own like niches, and just like so like separated from so many people, and they are still so uncomfortable of how to be social again, and that connectivity that if it was never there before, it's even less now. Community is so important, and a lot of people here are in that rat race of like, oh my God, it's me against the world. Like it's just me, and I have to do it on my own.
So much anxiety.
It's so much, and it's like almost like a fear of like, oh, who do I trust, or like who can I talk to, or who can I like share this with, or like, oh, someone's gonna steal this, or like it's all this like paranoia of just like, oh my God, get over yourself. First of all, like let's just like work together and build up these communities. So, you know, people like Brittany, or people like, you know, Matt, or whoever is like building these groups of people where it's like bringing up the collective again, where it's sharing of resources and bringing that connection and community and living with like kindness, and just actually wanting to genuinely help each other and be of service. Like that's what we need more of, and more people coming together with that is, you know, what we're here to do, and what we want to not change, but like whoever's down, you know, like this is also like a fun little accelerator where you get to be creative and you get to meet people. And, you know, it's not scary really out there when you're in a world of like, you know, stepping into entrepreneurial life. It's like, oh my God, like I was scared shitless to like let go of my salary job, and to get let go of comfort, and let go of when am I going to get paid next, or when is, you know, the financial insecurities of it all. But then when you realize how many people are actually out there to support you and help you and guide you, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a world that everybody needs to do more of. Because when you get to live in that creativity every day without anyone telling you otherwise, and you just getting to live in that, I'm like, holy shit, I'm living my dream life every day.
That's right? That's one of the milestones for this show is to do the recordings on a whatever frequency in person, so we can all be together, doing the Oprah thing in person, bring community together. But I think it's a lot of, and that's why I've been so motivated to start this show, because it's a lot of, we know what's going on out there, and sometimes I get in my head, I'm like, well, are people really as miserable as they think, as I think, and or maybe are they as miserable as I am at certain times of the week? And I'm like, maybe they're not. Maybe it's just me. But then
what are you the most miserable of?
When yesterday at about 5:00, when I was I don't know, I get grumpy. I generally as high as I feel naturally, a lot of the time, like I oscillate down into dark, frustrating places. But for me, it's just about getting in motion and getting, like, I'm always just frustrated that I haven't done the things I want to do. And really, it's just a lot of it is patience. Not really my jam.
Yeah, right. Welcome to Vancouver.
But yeah, you see people out there and you see their faces, man, it hurts. But it's that's why doing podcasts like this and creating events, I think people can see and hear the conversations and just get a vibe on what other local people in Vancouver are doing.
Why do you think that is? So I feel like when you just said about how when you look at people in Vancouver, sometimes you see how miserable they are. And I feel like a big part of that is, it's super bloody expensive here. So people get into this fear mindset of like, if you're not working this job that you hate, you have no choice, and so you get stuck in that, like, okay, I'm working this really corporate job or whatever it is, and I'm at the almost like top of the ladder, I'm making a bunch of money, but I hate my life and I can't get out, because then how am I going to afford to live here?
Which is real.
Which is such a big fear, right?
Which is real. But I also think, and okay, we may need a sip of water for this one, because I'm going to crack this one open for you. But I think, again, like the people we emulate, the people we follow, the mirror neurons, we've kind of been conditioned to be fairly miserable by all the things out there, so that we buy the other things in theory to make us feel less miserable.
Those temporary pleasures.
That's
right? It's attaching ourselves to the external, thinking the external is what's going to make us happy, when it's really the internal, when we're able to I know it sounds so
I'm just saying, like this is my language. No, and I know this and I embody this. I'm thinking about the people that I want to explain this to, and I'm like, thank you. So I'm like, because it's so hard. It's so hard. And I'm not perfect with it each and every day. But it totally rolls back to your self-love. Self-love that you were talking about in the beginning.
Self-love and gratitude. Like, starting your own business is not easy.
Right.
And you're not making money for like 6 months to like a year. That's just like the reality of it. And people give up because they're like, oh my God, I just want to taste that success like now, like yesterday.
Yes.
Right. And like the consistency behind it, people don't have that discipline to keep going regardless of the financial insecurities.
Right.
And that almost like that imposter syndrome of like, I'm in this new world now and I have negative $50 in my bank account. What does that mean? I'm unsuccessful? It's like, no, people attach that success to the external. But when you can change the meaning of success for yourself, that's when things will shift. And not even just success, but like, what does being rich mean? What does being rich mean to you? Because what rich means to everybody else doesn't have to be the same thing for yourself.
So what does rich mean to you, and what does success mean to you?
Success means learning something new every day.
Nice.
Growth. It means that I get to step into something new and experience something new, and that's success. So every day, if I tell myself I get to live a successful life,
and you can do that in a prison.
You can do that anywhere, right? And you have everything given to you in this day and age. You have a brain, you have hands and feet, and you can literally learn a new skill set tomorrow. You can learn things that add value to your toolkit.
But you can't, how do you learn things if you got to do the Netflix and the six-pack of beer?
Yeah, exactly.
It's bitching about choice. ABY. Like, well, how do you find the time?
Exactly.
No time, right?
Exactly. So it's all when you're more aware of what's stopping you from getting to that next level, and you start actually consciously making choices that are aligned with your future and aligned with the life that you want, that's when things start making shifts. And that's when the universe starts working with you and moving energy into your frequency to help you get there. So you're actually not alone. You're moving with the momentum. I literally just manifested like speaking in front of crowds the other day, and I'm like emceeing this next event with like one of my girlfriends. And I'm like, I
Sweet.
literally just like asked for it
Nice.
and
Yeah.
worked for it, you
Nice.
know? So it's like work hard, stay consistent, and also who cares what everyone else's philosophy on whatever is? Because if you're doing things that are in alignment with your core values and your truth, that's all that really matters.
Where do you find yourself losing that on the weekly basis? Where do you get frustrated and discouraged and down in however long the moments are?
Well, I think going back to patience, right? So when you're working really hard on something and you're like, okay, I just want it to hit, I just want it to happen, right? And you have to bring yourself back every time. I get into that mindset of like, why isn't this working? I'm like, man, like I just went and did this and spent X amount of time on it, and you know, it worked for a little bit, and then it's always going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's with a lot of people, that's when they stop. Right. But I think when you reprogram your brain or your mindset into actually enjoying the trial and error period of like just getting as much out there as possible. When I first started my business, it was completely different, but I was able to like get feedback, be open to receiving feedback and not being attached to the business itself, but being able to flow with the momentum of what's working and then solidify as I go. Nothing has to be perfect. Like we were just talking about that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing has to be perfect.
Yeah, and that's what when I was sharing about launching this podcast. It's never gonna be perfect. And I know we're supposed to enjoy the journey and the outcome is separate, but we all create things, so we want them to bang, right? We want them to bang.
Yeah.
But this is a hoot. Like nobody's getting paid right now. This is not a paid program, right? It's but this is for both of us and whoever. Like this is, I think we both feel this is a great use of our time. It's
100%.
freaking fun. But I heard there's there's Tony Robbins, and Tony usually takes stuff from elsewhere about whatever. So there's Tony. I like Tony. I'm a Tony fan.
I love Tony.
I'm Tony.
Yeah.
Like I listened to a lot of Tony podcasts in the last couple months, and he just lights you up, man.
Right?
Just like the way he talks, he just goes, and his brain just firing. But he says success is getting what you want. Fulfillment is living who you were made to be.
Oh, I love that. Ooh.
I was on my run. I stopped.
Oh,
I know. I do this sometimes. I pull over on my run. I pull out the notes on my phone, and I'm like, I am writing that down.
Yes.
I'm writing that down. And by like the process of writing it down, then going back and revisiting afterwards, it's in your head. But that's great. I mean, like success. So getting what we want. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it happens in different ways, but it's the fulfillment of letting that, and that's where I believe I get most revved 100%. Up about myself, because I'm not letting the full me out, or I'm not being all I can be.
Exactly. Oh my God, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like fulfillment is everything. It's like literally what mitigates burnout, you know?
Truth.
Like
because it's energy
flowing in you. Yeah. And it's like lighting you up, as you mentioned, right? It's like I can work, like, and work is play.
That's it.
You know, like,
so how do the people of Vancouver who, because I've done it, I've been it, I've lived it. There's, like I said, you know, I'm still in the engineering world, and there have been some dark days, but I get fueled from doing these other things and planting these other seeds and creating these other things. And I found real joy in certain parts of that world. And you know, I have some motives that I'm doing to do great things.
Totally.
And it's, so I can tell that story, but it's in the past, it was a lot of doom and gloom. It was a lot of doom and gloom. And I never really knew the way out. I went to career counselors. I switched to different firms. I did all of that. So it wasn't, you know, my entrance into this world really happened by the universe
Pushing you
pushing
into
me,
it.
which
Yeah.
was the end of a marriage, which is the end of a relationship, which is how this
Mm.
whole, like, the pain of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And when I was thinking, when I was sharing, because a lot of those days, and I write about this in the book I wrote as well, a lot of the days I would come home from the shitty engineering job and just bitch about it.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was normal. I thought that's what people do. But I can imagine that sort of energy, which I didn't really even know what energy was in that context at the time.
Yeah.
I can imagine that would have been challenging.
Yeah.
So if I go back to who I was then, and I'm carrying around, so I'm talking to like 30-something-year-old men in the town right now, perhaps men or women, whoever, that feel like they're stuck in this world, taking this home. There's no path out. They work and work and work. House prices get more and more and more.
Yeah.
But how do people break free and find that fulfillment, and find a means to keep going on 100%. And to raise their energy?
Yeah. I think the best way to support what you just said, or to provide an answer for what you just said, is purpose. Purpose-driven businesses, purpose-driven mindsets, and finding your soul purpose is what makes everything worth it.
So how does, like, the 30-year-old man, I don't know, we'll call him Michael, you know, he's got a job, he's got a place to live, he's got a condo, and I know I look like I'm 30, but this is like me in the past we're talking about, in case this isn't obvious to everyone. Hello. You're right. I look like I'm 26. Great. Yeah, because healthy thoughts, meditation. Yes. I didn't drink for 2.5 years, but I've been back for a while, so I'm happy I can coexist in that world. Although I probably shouldn't. Anyway, but, like, how does someone stuck in that cycle? They got all the things. You got the house, and this is like me redoing my TEDx right now. You got the house, you got the girl, you got the job. Yeah. Miserable.
Yeah.
Miserable.
That's literally it. The miserable. Like, when you're so miserable and you literally look at yourself in the mirror saying, I don't want to live like this anymore. When you make that choice of, like, I'm done living this life and I'm going to figure out how I can live a better life, a more purposeful life, that's when you start acting on that. But without that choice, without you actually being like,
that decision,
it's always that pain, right? Everyone wants to live in that pain because we're almost addicted to pain.
We are. We think it's the norm. And I've been like addicted to the suffering.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to even entertain a thought of not suffering every day.
Yeah. Right. And, like, even with meditation, oh my God, I was talking to this guy about this literally the other day, because he was like, why do we only meditate, like, when we're struggling or when we're going through something? Because we're addicted to that relief. Yeah. We're addicted to that relief. So then we try to find problems so that we can get ourselves back into a problem to get back into relief, because it's so addicting.
Interesting.
Crazy. Hey. Yeah.
So back to the 30-year-old, he's got to make it, like, maybe someone's going to listen to this and make a decision. So, and it's not a decision that they need to immediately quit their job or lose their relationship or burn their condo down. Totally. Right. It's a decision to do something. And usually that you don't know what to do, because
you got to go internal.
You got to go
internal, and nobody wants to do it. But what I can only speak from my experience, right? And so what happened with me was I was literally rock bottom after my last, like, when my first relationship, when that ended. And I was so broken and so weak and brittle that I didn't even know what self-love was. Like, I just thought I deserved being in this relationship with somebody that cheated on me all the time and just did not respect me. And just, I thought that was what love was, right? And then when I stopped all that and I made the choice, the conscious choice, that I deserve more than that, I don't know how, I don't know where it's going to come from, but when I made that first choice, then I started journaling.
Right.
And I started asking myself what my values were in this life, and what were the values of something I wanted to create in this life. And I didn't know what I wanted to do yet.
That's it. You don't know. You don't need to know,
You don't
but you need to
know.
ask the
You
questions.
need to ask the right questions.
You have to have the introspection.
Exactly. And I'm like, what are the values of the people I want around me? If I want supportive friends, if I want a group of collectives that will help me with this, if I want, how can I become that person first to attract those people into my life?
Nice.
So what are those habits? Who are the people that I look up to, right? Whether it's Joe Dispenza, whether it's Deepak Chopra, whether it's like whoever it is, what do they do? What are their habits? Okay. Oh, okay. Meditation every day, gratitude every day.
That's a good question.
Yeah. And when you start integrating those, you'll slowly shift into the person that you want to be. Slowly, gradually, but it will happen, right?
Because you do meditation. Everyone, we should be, and you mentioned education, so perhaps we can segue into this, but meditation, come on, let's go. Right. Everyone. Because it's so, it's, and again, I found it after my rock bottom as well, because I'm sitting here and like instantly having all these thoughts, right? That are brutal. Yeah. Brutal. Yeah. But they're also in their brutalness, they're so beautiful. Because you get that understanding and that clarity, like, oh my God, that happened because that, right? But wow. And what else? Now that I know that, I'm kind of free from that connection to that. But meditation, 5 minutes in the morning, literally. 10, come on. It is the best because you're just, it's the best. You're thinking, you're all over the place. Nobody does it right. There's no right way to do it. Whatever. Right? You know, and you follow your breath. Apps everywhere. There's so many good ones. But you're taking those moments to ask yourself, what's up? And literally, feel what you feel and have that check-in with yourself.
And like not attaching yourself, right? Like knowing that your thoughts aren't real until you're in control of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like when there's just word vomit going on and noise, that's not you. That's just blah.
I like it. I'm listening to Waking Up app, Sam Harris. Highly recommended. Yeah. Really great. Ooh. Really great. I've been into it, but he explains things like thoughts, like the sixth sense. You know, we got sight, touch, taste, feel, whatever the fifth one is.
I love that.
Sound, hear. That's what the things with the ears. But the other one is thoughts. Because when you close your eyes, these things also just come and go, and they're not us. They come out of nowhere, and we don't have to be attached. And we are not our thoughts. They come and go. And again, like you can hold on to the ones you like and let the other ones roll by. Exactly. But it's we're always in this unconscious realm of thoughts all day from when we wake up to when we go to sleep. Yeah. So it's just that 5 or 10 minutes where you can instead just focus on your breath, listen to the birds or whatever it is, listen to an app. And as soon as you become aware that you're becoming overcome with thoughts, go, no, I'm coming back to my breath. And you become so powerful.
And when you can actually access your intuition and your higher self.
And so that gets back to the question, like, how do you get out of being stuck? You access the intuition by slowing down and having these moments with yourself. Because we all know what we need and want to do. Exactly. But you can't hear. We can't hear ourselves.
Exactly. And when we can, breathwork is really good for this. Breathwork is so good for this because you are able to tap into that. And now every morning I flow with breathwork first thing, and it allows me to ask, what is my inner guidance trying to tell me right now? What does Christabelle need? Like, what do I need, right? Whether it's a slower movement of a morning, whether it's a little bit more of a self-love morning, you know, but I'm the only one that can tell me what I need to do, right? Nobody else knows.
That's it.
So when you calm down and you're like, oh, okay, how am I going to combat this situation? And you can use this obviously in any aspect, like with business, with decisions, with executive decisions, right? Anything that you need to, any big, large decisions. And don't force. If you don't know, it's okay not to know right away. You don't need, nobody's putting pressure on yourself to make a decision but you.
Nice.
So flow and allow yourself the space to listen to when the answer is ready to come to you.
And then it's the things you hear I'm gonna keep on going back to this 30-year-old guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What's he gonna hear when he slows down for the first time in 30 years? Maybe he's gonna hear, maybe you need to leave your job, or maybe he's
Yeah.
gonna hear, maybe you're gonna be the president. And then, so maybe he's like, maybe you're gonna be the president of this engineering company. And then he gets like, and he's like, oh, that feels good. Oh, I didn't really ever see that. I thought I was just going to keep on middle ground and for forever.
But go with that feeling.
Go
Trust
with the
that
feeling,
right? And when you ask yourself, what do I want out of this life, and what's going to be the most fulfilling, purposeful thing for me, and you get that sensation of that feeling, every decision, if it doesn't make you feel like that, it's not the right decision.
Yeah, that's how I've created everything I have. Even this podcast, like it was an idea. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, but I wasn't ready. It just wasn't right. But I started properly thinking about it back in June. So I'm like, in meditation or in running, like these are where the thoughts come. So I'm like, interesting. I've had this idea for a while. So I'm like, oh, they really came then. So I'm like, what I do, I get the thought, I get the idea, I get the inspiration. I go home, I put it in my black book. And so I don't, if you don't write these thoughts down, they may be gone.
Oh yeah.
Idea banks. I've done that recently. I had a great thought and I didn't write it down. I don't know where it is.
Idea bank, baby. Idea bank.
But this one, so I put it in there and I let it, I'm slowly getting more mature in my age, because usually I get a good idea and I blast it out everywhere. And then it's like, my friends ask me a day later and like, oh no, that was stupid. Forget it.
It's just, right.
I was like, oh, forget it. And then they all just roll their eyes. But if it's still a good idea for me, a couple days later, I'll start testing it out.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And they'll
100%.
go, oh, that's good. And I'll go, I know, it feels good, right?
Yeah.
And I'll start putting a name out there or something. Like, hey, what do you think about this?
Exactly.
Right?
So for that 30-year-old man, so this is actually really exciting, because this exact question is something that I'm trying to create a system for with my business, but also allowing other people's geniuses to come into play with this.
Nice.
So one of my coaches / mentors, he actually helps people find their purpose,
which is
in their life.
Again, I look at you and you look at me and you can see that I'm like rolling my internal eyeballs.
100%.
Right?
100%.
Because I know that. I get that. I did not know that, or even I would have been rolling my external eyeballs 10 years ago. But so how does the 30-year-old understand and feel and know what purpose is? Or can they just trust?
It's a process, obviously. Right. There's a lot of clarity, a lot of dissecting, a lot of questions that need to be asked, but we sometimes don't know what questions to ask ourselves.
100%.
And the external, sometimes having a conversation with somebody else that can tap into you, not in a spiritual whatever way, woohoo way, but in an energetic way where it's genuinely asking you the right questions to understand what's something that's meaningful to you, that's not a why, but a purpose. A why is a reason.
Right.
I have a reason to go to work. It's to get money. It's to get paid. That's not a purpose. My purpose is, how can I impact this world and inspire and uplift and connect as many people to get them outside of societal conditioning before I die? That's my purpose. And that's something that's finite. It's never going to end.
Nice.
So I know that every day I can wake up and I will literally be like, hell yeah, I'm going to do this, because this is a mission that is never going to end for me. And I can just hit as many people as I can with that. Nice. That's my purpose.
And what that gives you is fulfillment.
Exactly.
Right. So if you got the 30-year-old and you say the word purpose and he's like, that's not a hockey game. Leave me alone. Yeah. You're like, what if that was the gateway to you feeling a little bit more alive every day?
Literally.
Then they could be like, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Right? I'm listening.
Like poking the bear.
Fine.
Yeah.
I want to feel alive without
like
a six-pack on a Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And all of those little gateways, right? Like everything that was like instant sex, instant coffee, instant, all these temporary pleasures for us is like, okay, alcohol, like what are you filling up in your life that's just like filling up that void? Like what are you scared to sit in when it's silent? Right. And when you ask yourself those questions and you actually start questioning things, it's like your eyes just become more awake and you become more aware of the problems, right?
And I ask myself a lot of questions.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. We're so funny.
But usually they're like, oh, dude, why? They're like, why? And my mom says this to me. She's like, why can't you just be like normal?
Oh my goodness.
in like a joking,
Yeah,
loving way. But again, it's and specifically reading Matthew Perry's book now, because he's talking about getting famous, drinking to fill all these holes and all this stuff. And so for me, I'm not the drinking and to fill holes is not always a thing, right? But now I'm like, well, if I want to have a beer on a Friday, it means I'm going to go unconscious for the next hour or two. Exactly. And I'm like, great, okay, I'll go there. Awesome. I feel a little groggy Saturday morning. But for me, doing the show, you don't write books, you don't do TEDx's, and you don't do plays, you don't do public things to have nobody watch them or to have them go nowhere. You don't like, let's not fool 100%. Ourselves.
The intention.
Although some creatives out there, it drives me crazy. They're like, they suck at promotion, right? So I'm like, you're distraught. You're so talented. Right? You're incredibly talented, but you obviously have this similar but different sort of block. You can't promote your thing. But so my question for myself is, and I have goals and dreams and visions and all that. So, but mine is, and I intuitively know that ideally I won't feel more fulfilled and happy when and if those things come to be. I'm supposed to enjoy the journey, and this is pretty enjoyable. So thank you very much. But for me, it's the question of like, why, man? Like, why bother? Why can't you just be the guy with the six pack on a Sunday?
Can.
I can.
You totally can.
I can't, because it would torment me.
Exactly.
So thank you for helping me.
100%.
Because that's it, right?
It wouldn't fulfill you. You would.
And this wouldn't
fulfill
a lot of other people.
Yeah,
People think this is crazy. I'm like, that's great. I think what you do is crazy, right? And we're all different. That's beautiful.
100%. But without you sharing your story, you're not helping anybody, right?
Why do we need to help people?
That's the most fulfilling, impactful thing that we can do here. We literally die and we don't take anything with us.
Nothing.
Literally nothing. This life is just like not even real, like nothing here.
Nothing comes.
So what else are we supposed to do here than to help as many people realize and give them an opportunity to live their dream life as well, right?
I read who was it? It was, you know who it was? Oh gosh, this is going to be good. Oh gosh. So all right. There's no tissue around here for anyone.
Oh man. Oh yeah. Boy. Oh right. Boy.
Okay.
Oh boy. Okay.
No. It's like, usually it's me that cries. But, it's so good. And I really like this guy, and people have different views and whatever. I like some of the things he does and some of the things he doesn't. Robert Kennedy Jr.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Either way, he was, political stuff aside, he said this thing the other day. He was talking about his mom or something like that, or one of his many relatives that had died. And I think he was asking his mom about it, like, because he was distraught. He was just distraught. And his mom said to him, Bobby, and because Robert had asked her, like, all my family keeps dying, and my brothers and dads and uncles and all this stuff. And it crushes me each and every time. So he was asking what it means and what to do with that and how to unpack that. And she said to him, the best thing that you can do is take the best virtues from these family members that have died and embody them in yourself and share them with the world.
I love that.
Because that is the only thing that lives on from these other people's lives. Yeah. That's the only thing that lives on from our lives, that people share our virtues and our values, and they live on.
Right? Oh, ooh, goosebumps. That is good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Well, then we kind of need to be fearless and clear and brave in sharing what those mean for us. Ideally, if it's in a positive bent.
100%, right? And who knows who we're going to help, right? And like, that's why I was having this conversation with one of my buddies, and we were I don't remember like the whole concept of it, but the main point was, why are so many people talking about the same thing but in different ways? And it's just like, why, like everyone's talking about the same thing, but it could be energy, it could be miracles, it could be whatever, but everyone's talking about it in different tonalities or different, examples. Or like even me with my page, like I'll talk about personal development or whatever, and it'll be like touching on the similar things but with different viewpoints or different connotations about it. And my response was, because there's 8 billion, however many people are here in this world. Mm-hmm. And when you get that aha moment, when somebody gets that aha moment, it can be something that I've said maybe in a slightly different way, but it will click for them on one part versus a completely other thing that's saying the exact same thing, but it just won't hit.
Yeah. The teachers come in so many, like, why do a podcast? Do you know how many podcasts there are?
Right.
There's quite a few. There's
That's
like
what I mean.
Over 100.
I'm such an advocate for people doing podcasts. Right. Like people need to hear your voice. They need to hear your story. And
even just people explain, and I always am explaining to myself and trying to understand that, but everyone does that in their own certain way. And if they can share how that is, then someone else can understand. But same in, how many different slices of bread are there out there? There's a whole bunch.
Exactly. Like Kung Pao chicken. There's so many different kinds of chicken. It just depends on how it's made, right? But it's just like they're all great and delicious, right? And so it's really tapping into all of them and getting little pieces. And some people may not love Kung Pao chicken, but they'll love the Korean barbecue, right?
Yeah.
So it's really just being truly, fiercely, unapologetically as authentic to yourself as possible.
Yeah. And authenticity is a big word for you. And I got a couple. How are you doing?
Good.
I have a lot of questions.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
I got a couple more questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm good. I have to use the washroom.
Oh, really? Go for it. No, go for it. I'm going to talk to the, this is a, oh, I'm glad. Okay. Because I have not next door. Yeah. I'm not going to cut this part, but I do need something to talk about. I'm going to share, what story should I tell? No, maybe we will have to cut this part. No, we won't. We'll keep going. I'll tell you about this podcast setup and what it's meant. But what this podcast is really meant to be, it's called The Real Van City. And I was telling Christabelle about this earlier, but, as someone who has moved here from Ontario, like I said, and we've all heard the headlines and the stories that Vancouver is a tough place to meet people. It's a tough place to get connected, and it's a city with no soul. And there's headlines, and you can look them up. And to some extent, you can find truth in anything that you look up and Google. But for me, I really believed these things previously because I really, really I've been stuck in my ways in the past and things like that. But it hasn't been until I started getting into this new world with other coaches and authors and speakers and people that were expressing themselves and really showing, where I've successively kept the podcast going. Christabelle has come back. It's way easier just to talk than press edit and stuff later.
There we go.
I know. So
thank you. Sorry.
All good.
75 hard is like that gallon of water just like goes right.
But I was sharing about the, Vancouver having no soul. But for me, like and some days again, I still feel that. But again, it's like once you start finding a little bit more of a soul in yourself, and then you see it in other people, then you're like, wow. And you go out in the street and people actually do smile at you in the morning. You're like, wait a minute. This whole world has been here the whole time.
The reflection.
That's it.
It's a mirror.
And so as soon as you change that within yourself, like, oh, wait a minute, if my soul wakens up a little bit and I see it in some other people, maybe I don't need to move across the world. And I have these thoughts all the time. Maybe I don't need to sell it all and go surfing and do all that. Maybe the life and that feeling, because we're all after this feeling, is all right here.
That's so beautiful. That is so impactful for, I'm sure, so many people watching, because that's literally it, right? Everything is a reflection of our internal. Everything is a mirror of our internal.
That's it. Some days better than others, but here we are. I wanted to ask you about branding.
Yeah.
I love branding.
Do you? What's your favorite part about branding? Why is branding so
And I'm learning,
Yeah.
right? We all are.
Oh yeah.
But, a lot of people in this space, podcast coaches,
Mm.
authors, speakers, creators in any
Yeah.
sense,
Mm-hmm.
some people do it quite well. Uh, but a lot of us come from not that space or not having that background. For me, it's
Mm.
the creation, like it's the creation
Yeah.
of this podcast and the name and the
Yeah.
fonts and the things and the setup
Mm-hmm.
in this studio. I find that really quite interesting. And then writing or creating talks, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, very, very, very interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
specifically, it's the people doing a lot of these different creative things. It's their personal brand. And a lot of people suck at it.
100%.
A lot of people
Yes.
suck at it.
Oh.
And I think, at least for me, I got a certain thing going on, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'd be interesting to get your reflection on
Totally.
that, right? And how I'm doing.
Keen. Yeah.
But a lot of it, and I think, and I'm thinking specifically about social media and Facebook and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram and what we put
Mm-hmm.
out there. But for me, a lot of it is restraint.
Yeah.
Like if this is not there's a lot actually in it. Like if it's not who I want to, if you say not who you want to be perceived to be, then you're like, oh, well, you being authentic with only putting certain things out there. Yes and no. But if you are, saying trying to launch a podcast,
Totally.
you have to be very intentional about everything 100%. You say and do.
Exactly. And with personal brand, how we spin it is we bring out authenticity. Of course, you have to. It's your personal brand. Mm-hmm. And we don't want it to be the same as everybody else in a saturated market. So the authenticity pillar is the most important key pillar for sure.
Which is 100% one of the, not 100, but a big reason why I wanted to do this podcast. Mm-hmm. Because I know certain people have been following me on Instagram for years and years and years, and I post stuff, and I don't do a lot as I used to, videos and whatever, done the talking book and all that stuff. They don't know me.
Yeah.
They do not know me. Mm-hmm. But I bet you after listening to this one episode, when you can hear someone's voice and you can feel their heart, and you can kind of get a better idea of what they think, you can get a lot more out of that than you can post online 100%. For years and years, and you're only putting out a little sliver.
Exactly. So for content pillars, brand pillars, however you want to call it, they're imperative to your page, your personal brand.
What does that mean?
So the first one is authenticity.
That's it.
The second two have to be educational content.
That's it.
Something that's of value. I had to really position and change my entire social media because I realized the intention behind it was a lot about actually wanting attention.
Yeah.
Versus
triggered.
Yeah, literally. Right? I would post the selfies, the mirrors, whatever, the bikini, whatever.
You're the only one.
Right? That's what I mean. And so when I realized what is Christabelle's personal brand, when I'm talking about authenticity and I'm talking about leading by that example, how am I embodying that to then start preaching about it? If I'm doing something that's completely left field and I'm doing something that's not in alignment with what I'm actually trying to translate out there, how can I speak on this, right? So I stopped all of those posts, and every post now, it's of value. It's an education on a past experience. It's something that I'm going through right now. It's a life lesson. It's about personal development. It's about inspiration. It's about motivation. It's something. And my content pillars are so dialed in that I know exactly what I want to talk about, because let's be real, social media, it's marketing. It's all marketing.
It is.
So what are you trying to market?
That's
I don't want to know what you're eating every day for your lunch. That's not marketing, right? If you're using it as a marketing tool, which is what social media is for, and not to compare and not to, fake your lifestyle or show the shiny objects and whatever else, the materialism of life. And it's actually to show who you truly are and show people, give people permission to be their authentic selves. Like I literally am living on my mom's couch right now because I want to invest everything into my business. And this is the reality of entrepreneurial life. Like I've been an entrepreneur for 6-7 months right now. And I'm in the middle of it, and I'm in, you know, and it's not all glamour and shiny and all these beautiful things. And, you know, you have to go through the ups and downs of it. And it's not to be afraid or what my ego's getting in the way of like this embarrassment or shame of doing something that's going to help me in the long run. And it's something that's a temporary sacrifice for my future. Right. And a lot of people don't get that. They're like, oh, like I would never do that. I would never do like all this. But then the amount of people, when I made a post about this, like 7 people reached out to me. They were like, oh my God.
Nice.
That was the coolest post.
What was it about?
It was literally about how I moved back home and how I'm like sleeping on my mom's couch right now because I'm so like, these were like the authenticity and rawness about being an entrepreneur that first like year. And it was really showcasing like, yeah, like, you know, living off of $30 a week or whatever it is, right? These are the things that you sacrifice to get to where you want to be.
But how do people would go, wow, I would never share that. I need to look successful. I need to look rich. Totally. I need to got it all together, especially if I have a service that I'm offering.
Totally.
But it's not true, right?
And true. Like, but every single entrepreneur has gone through that. Every single business owner has gone through that. I've
done empty events, canceled events, launch things nobody cared. This is my second podcast. I actually have a podcast from it actually wasn't that bad. It was 4 years ago, but I didn't know what I was doing and had no purpose. Totally. And it was wearing me down.
Right.
But fail.
100%. Alex Hormozy, for crying out loud. Like literally, he would talk about how he literally lived in the gym on a couch and his first 20 clients were people that pitied him.
Right.
So it's like all like, I'm like, this is some Jeff Bezos shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is nothing to be ashamed of. But when I'm sharing my story, it gives people permission to then realize that, hey, like, it's actually not that bad to do that, to sacrifice a little bit in your short term for your long-term future and your long-term results, because that's what's going to matter.
What are your other pillars?
My other pillars, personal development, obviously, meditation, mindfulness, and then 2 of the educational points. So like about LUXGO and branding, and then also mindset.
The other thing, I was talking to my friend about branding. I kind of laid into it. And, you know, the best friends lay into each other.
Oh, 100%.
The best. And if anyone wants to lay into me, please, I have room for more friends that lay into each other.
Did we just become best friends? I feel like we just became.
Oh yeah. So, what do you think of my personal branding? From what you've seen,
it's there.
Okay, we have work to do. That's great.
We have some work to do for sure. I mean, like,
in
there's
which way?
Because there's a lot that you've mentioned in this podcast I had no idea about.
Exactly.
And your authenticity needs to shine more. People need to know more about you as a person, because like I honestly had no idea what I was getting myself into. No,
and I appreciate your trust in the situation. But for me, I'm like, perhaps I get sometimes lazy sometimes. So I'm like, do I do posts? And I get the feeling like my people are tired of hearing anything about books and TEDx and stuff like that. But there's a lot of good content in there. So again, I'm like, well, how can I share this in an easy, great, authentic way? So here we are.
Yeah, there you go. And there's so many ways to do it, right? And like a lot of people have that, like a lot of our clients are literally exactly like that. They're like, we don't even know where to start. And we don't even, like, it's a lot of effort to like be posting every day.
It is.
And like every single person in marketing tells you the same thing. If you're not posting, like, I used to think if I'm posting every day, I'm like ahead of the game. Nope, it makes zero difference. If you're posting 100 posts a week, you will be ahead of the game.
Wow.
That's the new algorithm.
But people, what if some of them get 0 likes and 0 views?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's all marketing. It's all marketing, but it has to go towards something, right? So like that's where you get into your click funnels and your courses and your ebooks and things that are actually going to add value, right? So like having that ROI.
That's it.
And it's all with intention. So like, unless you want to be like an influencer on Instagram, social media, you shouldn't be using social media. You know what I mean?
Well, you share your kid pics and the dogs. They're kind of, I follow a really cute bulldog in the UK, and the bulldog got a new puppy today. Bulldog Pabs. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. It's the best. But to counter that point, the conversation I was having with my friend, I'm like, listen, and she's a artist and writer and stuff like that. I'm like, so what I said to her, and perhaps I'm wrong, and I'm open to hearing if so, but I'm like, you need to stop putting all your stuff out there because there's no real intention
But
to
that's
it, and it's
exactly
just like
it.
blasting it on Facebook. I'm like,
100%.
and you
If
get like
there's
your boyfriend likes it, and and someone else like, and like just your stuff is good, but you got to have a little bit of scarcity to it.
Exactly. If there's no intention behind it. So
Yeah.
think about all the people that you actually follow on Instagram. Like, I don't know like how
Bulldog,
that is. The bulldogs.
foiling,
yeah. Okay. So maybe I'll use myself as an example.
Right,
okay.
better.
So like, so it's all intentional because it's energy and information that you're feeding your brain waves every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So I've literally stopped following all the people that party every weekend, doing whatever, because I'm like, I don't want to even see that. I want to see motivational quotes. I want to see people doing things that I can learn from, educational things that are going to help my business, grow my business, scale my business.
Because it's like, if we know we're going to be manipulated by the thing, let's put good stuff in there.
Exactly.
This is my new game. I've gone. I did the thing where you follow all the people to get the followers. Like 5, we all do it. But now, like my thing is to get my followers as low as possible.
Yeah.
So I've gotten like 5,000 people I follow. Sorry, but there's no good content. There's
literally,
I don't want it in my head.
Like 800 people.
Yeah. I want to get her down to 100.
I'm like, it's so, because there's so many people that just post for the sake of whatever,
to feel validated
intention.
that people are seeing their
right?
boobs
And I'm
or
not
whatever it
judging those
is.
people.
Right?
I was that person.
Yeah,
Right?
we've all done it.
We've all done it, and it's just,
I still do it. I'm like,
right?
Who loves me? Post.
Like this.
Where are my 5 fans?
Right?
Post. Whatever.
But like, there's so much to it. Like, even when I'm like, for example, I'm reading like these 10 pages every day or whatever it is, and I see something juicy and I'm like, ooh, I want someone to read this. I want someone to gain something from this.
That's it.
Right. And it's like, even like those questions that you can actually get your followers to engage with, right? There's a way to do it. That's almost like a strategy, but it's also helping other people think in a new perspective as well, and getting them to see something, whether it's about like manifestation or abundance or whatever it is, or their new view or perspective on something. And it's allowing them to start thinking.
That's it.
In a different way and shifting.
And people will come back to you because they got that feeling. And I was thinking about this today because Matthew Perry, I was talking the chat group with my sisters in the WhatsApp chat group, and my sister sent this clip because I totally forgot about this. She sent this clip because she has a challenge getting her son to smile in photos. It's so cute. So she sent this 5-minute clip about Chandler Bing going through this same thing, which I couldn't remember the episode.
Yes,
do you remember that one?
Can't smile with the camera.
Yeah.
With Monica and all the wedding for.
Yeah. So she sends me this YouTube clip, and the first thing I do, I always do this when people send me stuff. I'm like, how long is it?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I hate it when people send me stuff. I'm like, you think I'm just sitting here? And I am. I'm just doing that, right? But I'm like, all right, Janie sent this. I'll watch it. But I watched the entire 5 minutes because it was so funny. All of them that were in the thing, and it was so gripping. Yeah. So that attention that they were totally being authentic, totally captivating their audience. It was really, really quite something.
100%. And that's a huge thing as well on social media when it comes to reels or anything. I'm going to be honest, like, it took me some time to actually, and I have so much work to do when it comes to even what I'm posting in the reel format, because I get really excited and I get really passionate about what I'm talking about. And I sometimes lose my train of thought halfway through and the intention gets lost. And so what I've realized now is slowing down, having one point that I want to get across, making it about 15 to 30 seconds so that people can actually take something away from that and not be lost by the fluttering fairy.
And they'll feel good about it. And they'll feel good about the piece that you shared. And like, I after watching this 5 minutes, I messaged my sister. I'm like, wow, I just laughed for 5 minutes.
Hell yeah.
When was the last time?
Right?
Well, we've been laughing for a while here, but like, wow. So that, there's like a lot of light bulbs were going off in my little squirrel brain here. I'm like, oh, acting and being a comedian is making people laugh. Right? Oh, that's what you do.
There we go, right?
A lot of things happen.
Why do we follow these people? Because they're funny.
Yeah,
right?
they make you feel good.
Yeah.
So
right?
exactly. So unfollow the stuff that doesn't help you get there.
Exactly. That's not adding value to your life.
So people that are looking to brush up their brands,
add value
and come to you.
Yeah, and come to me, please.
Right.
I would love to help.
Right. Who do you specifically help, and how can people get in touch with you?
Small business owners, entrepreneurs, people that want to make some large shifts in their life and transformation. So people that are actually building off of one brand and wanting to add more or expand their brand. Those are all people that we want to be helping. It's business owners and entrepreneurs. Nice. I don't know why I said small business owners, any business owner.
Yeah.
But yeah, people that just need a little direction, because we walk them through pretty much the entire cycle of from scalability, from growth, from, you know, starting with your brand and your social presence and what that looks like, to marketing consulting, to getting your website, SEO, ad campaign, everything, and then going into your products, going into your services, adding that quality business development. It's kind of a full service.
Nice.
So yeah, and having goal performance, tracking everything, figuring out what the most efficient use of your team's time is to have the most accelerated growth. Nice. That's our goal.
Beauty.
Yeah.
And I need to post, well, I always have excuses for things, but I'm like, well, I'm going to be posting more specifically about the podcast, because that's my jam right now. The other things are what they are, but there's a strategy.
There's a strategy. I'll share it with you.
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful.
I'll show you how to kind of get the most out of even like a podcast. Beautiful. So you can, yeah.
Sweet. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you wish we had?
Honestly, I think we killed it. I think we crushed it.
Yeah. No, appreciate you so much.
That was amazing. Thank you so very much. Like, I am so blown away with just the whole concept behind what you're trying to translate here, and you're doing such a beautiful job.
What am I trying to translate here?
Really bringing out the soul of Vancouver, and I think you're killing it with that.
Maybe we could call the podcast that. No, I think we're good. Right?
I'm excited for more opportunities for you, and I think this is going to be huge. Like, I can really see that.
What are you most excited about for you?
Life.
Yeah, man.
Everything. Honestly, like when you open your arms up to receiving every ounce of opportunity, it provides.
Nice.
I know life is going to really just expand for me in such a beautiful way. So I'm very excited.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.